boom, boom. Okay. Okay. This is Bridges for Music. In this episode, we bring you the workshop with Luciano and Vinny Da Vinci, recorded at one of the very first workshop Bridges for Music held in the townships of Langa, Cape Town. More precisely, at an Ethiopian church right across from where we ended up building the Bridges Academy. Luciano agreed straight away to do this tour in South Africa with Bridges for Music because he had always had passion for the South African music scene, but he only had one condition. He would play for free, but all shows had to be in the township, so anyone who wanted to see him had to join him there. Together with him, South Africa's house music legend, Vinny Da Vinci. Please enjoy this talk hosted by Richard Rumney from the Red Bull Studios.
My name's Richard Ramney. I'm the manager of the Red Bull Studio Cape Town. And I'd like to introduce Valentino, the man behind Bridges for Music, who's going to introduce Bridges for Music
Richard.
for you.
Yeah, hello. Welcome, everybody. One more time here in Langa. This is our third workshop. We started 1 month and a half ago with Richie Hodin. We did a second one with Skrillex. And I think both experiences were pretty mind-blowing experience for everyone, and especially for the artists themselves. You know, I really want to tell you a bit about of the feedback we got from Richie Hodin from his last workshop here. He went back deeply touched. He really loved the experience, and he was really impressed by the music culture and how this community welcomed him. So I think it has been a very, very positive experiences for everyone, and we are really looking forward for this new experience with Luciano. I have to say that this is possible thanks to the confidence of all these big DJs that are trusting and are willing to commit with this initiative. Of course, of all the partners that are supporting the local scene. And it's pretty impressive that Luciano has made all his way from Miami, has flight for 25 hours to be here, and is only doing actually this show and the show we had last night in Soweto. So that's pretty impressive, and I want to thank Luciano for committing to this. So I wish you all a great experience here. We are going to carry on with a really nice party where Luciano is going to play himself alongside other local artists, and Vinny Da Vinci, who has also joined us today. Please a big applause for him as well. And I have to say that Bridges for Music, although I'm speaking here, it's a project run by a lot of people even overseas supporting this project, all the partners that are supporting the electronic music scene, and also local people that are embracing this project, local promoters, the people at Shadow Works who have done an amazing work here, Kilowatt, and all the partners that are helping to produce this big event. So big applause for them, please. So I'm gonna just ask Luciano, we are waiting for.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for Valentino Bridges for Music. It's a pleasure to be here. It's of course an experience, and I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I also, Vinny, are you joining us? Or
Come on.
What's up? You guys are sleeping. What's going on here? My name is Vinny Da Vinci, DJ, producer. Also have a radio show on Metro FM. So check me out every Friday night between 10 and 1 o'clock. I gotta do this. Yeah, some people don't even listen to radio here, so I gotta do this, you know?
you do?
So yeah,
you do.
thanks for having me here as well. Thanks to Bridges, Valentino. And yeah, I just met Luciano today. Super guy, man. Look at him. So yeah, let's kick this.
Let's do it. So first question to both of you, as I did with Reddy D, is how did you guys get into music, and where did you guys get into music? What towns did you start to discover your musical passion in?
Oh, Look, personally, for me, I mean, in my household, I mean, I'm a Pretoria guy. You know, I come from Pretoria. So in my household, there was just music, you know, day in, day out, all the time. So I think I, you know, caught the bug then, you know. And, you know, getting into the industry and the DJing part of it, as I was growing up at school, you know, I used to record music on radio, on tapes. And then, you know, usually we had school functions where we had a party after the school function. And I was the designated DJ, you know, playing off tapes. So, and, you know, I was just doing it for fun back then. So, yeah, I guess that's where it comes from, definitely for me.
So me, it's like it's a different part. I was grown up in South America, and I started music also in a young age. My father used to fix jukeboxes, so there was always a lot of records at home. My mother also always used to listen to music and things like this, but there was no musician at home. And exactly like you did, I started also for fun. Yeah, really, really young. I'd probably also after school, and then I had some friends who had a bar that I was going there to play for a couple of beers with some friends, and that's the way it just started. And I was never expecting to make a career out of that or become a professional into the let's say the DJing. And at that time also DJing was not. It was not like such a strong musical, let's say, culture. Today the DJ became like a really important thing, I would say, in the nightlife for fun in clubs, and there's a worldwide scene today that is very strong, yeah, where a lot of young people, they committed, of course, to this idea about becoming a DJ. Yeah.
And we're in South America.
I grew up in Chile, in Santiago.
Okay. And you say when you started, roughly what time was that?
I started back in the 90s, yeah, and was back at that time we were just coming out of a dictator also in Chile, so the whole musical culture was very, very closed, yeah. So I remember at the very beginning trying to get into the electronic music, being on a scene that was a lot of rock and roll and of course of local music, and was not that easy actually to start with this music.
I was just thinking, how would you have been getting tracks from in the 90s?
Well,
you know?
that's the whole beginning was very difficult because there was no internet. To get one record was very expensive to get music, especially. So we were a bunch of people. We were like basically 4 or 5 people, and we all had about 20 records. We had also some tapes. We had also some things that we used to get from people around, traveling and exchanging. And it was all about a small community of people that we used to just borrow each other's things, and we were sharing a lot, yeah. At that time, of course, it was not the same as today that you get on the internet. It's very easy to get music and things. So it was really, I think that the whole way we started was because we were extremely motivated, because we used to share, and we were like a group of people that we strongly believe in that, and we all wanted to achieve that, and that made the whole point, and that made the whole fun also out of it. Yeah.
And I read in your bio, you said that in your early gigs, a lot of the punters at the clubs that you play in, they were like into rock, and they'd come and stub their cigarette out in your record.
Yes, I remember those situations that they were not very friendly, but it used to be like that. Like basically the rock guys with long hair and blah blah blah, they used to come to us, and they let us playing 20 minutes this kind of music that they didn't know really what it was, and they used to turn off cigarettes on the records, and was like kind of strange vibe, but. Maybe 2 years later, those same guys, they were with short hair dancing to electronic music. So I mean, we all, because of the group of the people we believed in what we were doing, and we had the impression we were bringing something new, and we were having fun with that. Yeah.
Vinny, I guess it would have been a similar thing in South Africa. Where will you be getting the records from? Yeah, there was pre-internet when you started, eh?
Yeah, I mean, and it was almost the same time as you as well, like the early 90s. There was, I think, about 2 or 3 record stores in one in Pretoria and then two in Johannesburg that were selling vinyl. And, I'd travel, get into a minibus, taxi, go to Johannesburg, buy 2 records, come back, play them, at home. Because, back in the day, we didn't have I didn't even know what a SL1200 is because we had that console, that disco console. It comes with 2 turntables, all in one with a mixer, with no pitch control. That was the one. So we, play off that, record tapes, give it to people, sell them, whatever. So just to get the music out there. And because the one time when I first started listening to house music, I just fell in love with it. And for me, it was a different kind of music that we usually used to listening to on the radio, because it was, what is this thing called house? People didn't get it, and it took a long time for people to get it. But for us, like I said, it was just something to do at home as a hobby. It was not profitable or anything. I was just playing music for myself, for my friends, and that was it.
And in the clubs that you were playing, what were they used to? They obviously weren't used to house music. You were the first to kind of discover it. What was it that been heard before?
I'd say my first experience of a nightclub, there was one in Pretoria, in my township. So I went. I was still young, so I went to the club, and they almost chased me out because I was too tiny. You know what I mean? So. But I managed to sneak in, and then I listened to what they were playing. This guy was just playing, it was house, playing 8, 10 tracks, seamless, mixing, but I didn't understand. I'm like, this song is like one track. It's not ending. What is, And eventually, when you I got to the DJ booth, I managed to meet him, and I just say, can I just watch you, what you're doing? And I just watched him. But it was house. We knew what house music is, but a lot of people didn't really understand.
And the tracks were like, who were the artists? What were the labels?
The labels that were around there was labels like Nevers. King Street was available then. You had I can't even remember those. There's a lot of them, but the more popular ones like your King Street, Nevers, and the early MAWs like Atlantic. Those are the labels that were coming out. And groups like 10 City were the popular, groups that were around at the time. So, yeah. For me, if I went to a club on a Friday night or Saturday night, I make sure that I look at the label and I'll ask the DJ who's the artist there, and then maybe on Monday, Tuesday, go to the record store and try and find it. And most of the time, you don't find it because those tracks were, maybe exclusive to the DJ, or the DJ knew where to get them. Maybe that's how it was happening back then.
And Luciano, yourself, a lot of the stuff you were playing, was it house, techno, both?
I think back on that time, I remember one of the person that basically opened our hearts and our mind back on those days was we were really influenced by the Detroit music scene, and Derek May was one of the first who came down to our country, because it was nobody at that time used to come to Chile. It's like one of the last little corner of the world, so it was really hard to basically get people, and we had Derek May coming for the first time. And he's the one who triggers, let's say, a lot of things in most of the artists that came down from my country. And so we were really then dropped into the Chicago house and to the Detroit scene, and that were our mentors, let's say, into the music, yeah.
Yeah, and when did you start producing music? Was it at that stage?
Yes, producing music came. It became because before, let's say, being into the electronic, I was playing instruments. I was a guitar player. So basically, the idea of electronic music became because electronic music was a way to produce music on your own. You didn't need to have a drummer. You didn't need to have a bass player. You could do everything on your own. So that was the idea. That I remember the first time I had a machine was I just created some rhythms on a rhythm machine and played the guitar on top of it. And was the first time where I got, let's say, a little bit into the electronic producing thing. Yeah.
And you say rhythm machine. What do you mean, like an 808 or something?
Yeah, 808, 909, all the very first machine.
And where were they? Just did friends have the gear?
I had a friend of mine who is a very, very famous Chilean singer, who's one of the biggest, let's say, the South American rocker. Yeah, but they used to come from this Depeche Mode influence and thing like this. And he had a Lindrum, which is a very old drum machine, and he borrowed it to me, and I had it for 2 months, I think, or something, and it was like a revelation. Then my whole idea behind that was not, I was trying to go to DJ and trying to make myself a little bit of pocket money wherever I could go in bars and things just to get machines. Yeah. So I remember I got like my first machine that I got with a friend of mine because we had a lot of Chilean people because of the dictator that had to leave the country. So we had a lot of connection with Europe, with North America, and they used to come back always to visit the family. And one of my closest friends also brought me like a second-hand machine, like one of the first Akai also that they had, like a sampler. And that's the way I started to get into the music, yeah.
It's a bit of a geeky technology thing. But the Lindrum's quite sort of 80s, hey? It's not digital sort of sound.
No, I would say that if you hear a lot of Prince records, they all made on the Lindrums. It's a very old drum machine. It's like a classic, I would say.
Okay, and then you started to produce your own records and release it, or were you just toying with
at the beginning I was only producing because I thought this is what I want to do, but as I tell you, there was no idea of making a career out of that. I didn't even believe that I could release one record one day or someone would be interested in what I was doing. Yeah, I was just doing it because it was fun. It was just fun, and it was just enjoyable with friends, and we were sharing ideas, and you could also meet up and do this late session where everybody was adding a little bit of things, and that was it. It was just passion and fun, yeah. And it was never with an idea of releasing something. My first release came much later with the first release that I had was with Transmat, actually, with Derek May, who signed my first record, and it was big meaning for me because he was my mentor, yeah.
And Vinny, what was your sort of entry into production and I mean, what was South Africa like in the 90s? Where could you go and make tracks if you were interested?
I mean, back in the early 90s, I mean, the production side of things was way too far from me because I never thought that I'll get into a studio to make a record. No ways. So I was just playing music and I was just enjoying myself, like listening to music. So production side of things came, it was late in I think it was 1998 when I first got into the studio with my friend DJ Christos. Everybody knows him here. So, and he has been producing for, maybe for the past 2-3 years before we got into the studio together. And also, we just went into the studio to make a fun project. Let's make some music, let's see what happens. Produce music and see what happens. Not because somebody or a record label approached you or to do something. Let's get into the studio and see what happens. We called in a bass player to come in, a keyboard player, and we just messed around in the studio. That's it.
And you mentioned Christos. Where did you, I mean, the two of you are like synonymous, Vinny Da Vinci and DJ Christos. Where did you meet him? How did you meet him?
Christos owned a record store, like in the early 90s. So I was buying music from him, records from him. And I'll just go, and then I'll find he's got 2-3 records for me, pay him, go. Just like that. And because he was seeing me every week, and then we started talking, and then eventually that led to us being friends. So, and then we started talking about the production side of things, but we just left it like, look, when the time comes, it will happen. And that happened in 1998.
And Christos, sorry, was he a Pretoria guy or a Joburg guy?
Also Pretoria. I mean, a lot of the early DJs or the early producers back in a lot of them were from Pretoria because I mean, Pretoria was known as the capital of house music back then.
Isn't it still the capital of house music?
Well, it is, but I mean, now that people know what house music is, I mean, there's a scene in Cape Town, there's a scene in Durban, there's a scene everywhere. But I think for more people to know what house music is mainly because Pretoria was there and pushing a lot of it.
Because you still, I mean, you've got like Julian Gomez.
See, he's also from Pretoria.
It's still a very strong scene.
So yeah, there's a scene there, and it's huge. And I think maybe because a lot of the guys that grew up in that era were listening to this music, but not really sort of caring what it was or what it was about. They just loved the vibe, the music, the beats, and the fact that people can go into any club or tavern or whatever and listen to a song and sing along. Hey man, that was a Pretoria thing. And,
But did you move to Joburg?
Yeah, I moved to Joburg 1994, 1995 when I moved to Joburg because I think when I started playing in clubs 1992, 93, and then the clubs closed down, and then there was a new scene coming up in Joburg. So
You say the Pretoria clubs closed down?
yeah, a lot of the clubs that were around then,
Yes.
they closed down. So nothing was happening in Pretoria. So a lot of us decided, you know what, let's go see what's up in Joburg.
And what was up in Joburg? What was the club?
There were like a few clubs like Razzmatazz. There was Countdown. There was quite a few, and obviously they came up and with their own identity, not really house. It was more like the R&B, soul, and house. They'll play like quite late in the night. I mean, like maybe just before they close.
Yeah.
But it was more like the more soul, R&B, hip hop kind of places. So the house was like they didn't really, like I said. I mean, people really didn't give attention to house music, and at the time, there was this new thing that was coming up called Kwaito.
Yes.
Yes. So it was more like hip hop, soul, R&B, Kwaito, and then house. They just, at the end of the pack.
But you were involved with the Kwaito a bit? Did you play some of it?
Honestly, look, I was enjoying Kwaito because it was a new thing. There were a few records that I'd play from, that were produced by Kwaito artists, but I was more into house, and with Christos as well. Christos, I mean, I'll mention Christos or Skiro. They started the Kwaito thing. They started taking house tracks and then slowing them down to like maybe 190, like I think 110 BPM.
Playing it on 33.
Or playing it, yeah. But they take that and then get inspiration from those records, play them slow, and then reprogram them and then put them out. That's how Kwaito started.
Yeah. But now the funny thing is it's fast again, eh?
Hey man, you can't, I mean, that's why I said, once you listen to house music, I mean, you can't go back.
You can't go back.
You can't go back.
And Luciano, you eventually moved to Europe. That was a big move for you, hey?
Yes.
Yeah. Where did you move to? Well,
I moved 13 years ago. Yeah. Because it's like I had the possibility because of my parents. I mean, my parents, they split it up, so I was living with my mother. Basically, I grew up in Chile, but my father was living in Switzerland. So I took the chance to take the chance to go to Europe, and I felt that I needed to do that because it was pretty difficult, when as an artist from my country, they always used to, whatever was coming from outside, they used to appreciate it, and it was very difficult to make us like really to, let's say, to keep on doing what we were doing without taking the chance to go outside. But before that, I moved to different, like other parts of South America, and then I took the chance to go to the other part of the world and to go to Europe. And I just, it was just more like I had a lot of friends because of the exilio, the exilio politico, which means that during the dictatorship, a lot of people went out. So I had a lot of Chilean friends back from my childhood that they were living also in Germany or in different parts, and I had the chance to go and visit them. and one of those friends was Ricardo also, which is also an important Chilean artist. So I took the chance to go there, visit him, and I knew he was already also involved a little bit also in the, let's say, German scene and things like this. He knew people. He was working in a record store, so I went there to visit, and we started playing in small parties and things, and tried to get our thing working. Yeah.
Your thing, what was that? Was that going to become Cadenza Records down the line?
No, Cadenza Records became really much later. Yeah,
Okay.
it went like 10 years ago. Basically, my sister, me, I had to out of what I was doing because I couldn't afford university or whatever studying because of things we had there, and my sister she could go to school, and she studied graphic design, and she needed to have something at the end of the year to prove that she had done the thing. So we decided to do together. I was doing the music and she was doing the graphic design, and we never thought about doing a label. We just wanted to do a record. And that's what when we did the first record, when it was never thought about being a label. But after the release of it, we had so much people writing back and please, what's going on, from where are you, blah blah blah. So we were like, we felt responsible also for that, and we felt lucky also to have these people demanding things from us, and we were just trying to focus and answering these people, and we were like suddenly, hey, did you see what happened? Should we keep on? Should we keep on doing it? And that's the way it just started. On a brothers and sister idea.
Yeah. But once you moved to Europe, then you started to really play around with production a lot.
Yes, I mean, when I moved there, I was working in whatever I could do just to afford. At that time I just had my first kid also, so I was just trying to work during the day and whatever was coming, and as soon as I had 5 minutes, I was getting back to my little machine, my headphones, and there was no studio neither at that time, and trying to make some sound and trying to invent ideas and do what I loved. Everything was about passion. Yeah, it was really, that's what I wanted to do, and that's what was my main motivation in life, a part of friendship and family and things like this. And that's the way just everything started. And I think today I keep on doing this way also. Like, you know, that there's sometimes a lot of people think it's like there's a business behind or whatever, and there is no. I mean, it's like today, even after 10 years, even with a lot of the artists we have, Cadenza is we only do, it's passion, 100% passion, yeah.
But you also brought in South American influences.
Yes,
am I
because
right?
this is my roots. This is I grew up with that music. It's like I mean, from what I experienced yesterday in Soweto, yeah, with all the artists, I was flashed by the great music that is played here. I was seeing all the people singing every song. I remember Black Coffee was playing yesterday, and everybody knew the songs and they were singing, and I was really impressed of the culture. And I could hear also probably the roots of the music that they are from here into that the sound that is, I think it's proper from here as far as I've heard from South Africa. And I grew up also with a certain kind of music, with salsa, with whatever it is, like all the Latin influences, yeah, which has to do a lot of percussion, has to do a lot with melodies, and I try always to reproduce what I grew up with in the music. So that's it. It was never thinking, I have to bring South America to the. It was just like, that's the music I love, and that's the identity I find myself through probably in house music, because this is where the rhythms and colors and everything comes from, and that's what we try to do, a new interpretation of a sound that we grew up with, which also was house music. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you think that helped? I know that you said it was just natural, but do you think it helped distinguish you in terms of what you were doing?
I think so. We, I mean, we were a group of people coming from, let's say, on the American scene or the European scene, where it was basically a lot of that kind of music was released, we were, from this new world, coming from with new influences, with a new group of people that we were all, there's a bunch of Chilean guys or Argentinian or Brazilian that they produced music, and we were all new to this market, and we were just trying to be, let's say, respectful and truth with what we were doing, yeah. And it just happened, but it was never with an intention of bringing something new. We always did everything that we did was for fun, and because we believed in, we liked what we did, yeah.
And you said it was like 10 years ago or so, or even more. That
13 years ago.
When you started, so what, 2000?
Yes, we started, Cadenza started on 2003, around that, but I moved there in 2000. But I think we were already doing that sound from before, and I don't think we invented something. I think we all took our influences from records, like he said, like King Street Records, or like different things that they were already doing that. Trax Records, they were our, let's say, influences became there. This is where we dig, and we just transformed it into what we thought it was something similar.
Mm-hmm. And Vinny, you said it sounds like a similar sort of time period. You said you guys, you and Christos released in about '98 the Masters at Work series, eh?
DJs at Work. Yeah.
DJs at Work. Sorry, not Masters at Work. That is MAW. Yeah, DJs at Work. And that's a label as well. That was a label as well.
It was like a concept idea that we said. Like I said, we were just messing around in the studio. Let's see what happens. And then a record label approached us after hearing us playing it at an event. They said, we like that, we want to release it. And because that was a fun project, we were like, what the hell, take it, see what happens. And within a year, we had sold 100,000 copies of that project.
That would have been the explosion of house music.
Yes, 1998, 1999. And like I said, I was like, 100,000 copies, are you sure? And that's when you saw the zeros adding up. I'm like, So this is a business, yeah.
Was that kind of was that sort of the first big South African house music compilation?
I think at the time, that's when, I think you called it, you named it right. That's when the house explosion really took over South Africa, because, people started noticing, there's this thing called house. Also, it was the same time when the station YFM came up, and YFM, because they were playing house music day, night, any time of the day. So people, you're driving in the morning, you're waking up, you're going to work, here's a song playing. Nice track. But you don't know what it is. But because they were playlisting a lot of house track on the radio, people started catching on as to this new thing. And that's why we call it the house explosion, yeah.
Yeah, house almost became mainstream from then on till now, actually.
I think, 1997, 1998... till today. I think that was the era that changed the whole scene in South Africa. And like I said, YFM broke all the rules of radio. They came there, they started talking township language on the radio, doing all sorts of things that were not done on conventional radio, if you know what I mean. So that took off like wildfire.
And how many DJs at Work records did you put out?
DJs at Work projects, we did about, I think, six CDs that came out from Volume 1 to Volume 6,
Yeah. And Luciano, I think that's probably where there's a sort of almost a difference, because, what happened in South Africa is the deep house sound is just, and to this day, has become almost like the national sound, but what you do, and I would consider it probably to be a bit more underground, wouldn't you say? It's not really like radio music in Europe.
Not at all. And it's like, I was really surprised, like how much probably followers you have here, and how big is the movement here? It's like back in that day in my country was not that big. It's like, for example, the parties where we were always like for 300, 400 people. We never had like festivals until 2000 coming. Everything was really, really small, and we were just a small bunch of people. And I would say from the whole country, we were 1,500 people listening to that, yeah. But we were, of course, everybody knew each other, and it was our movement for us, and it wasn't that big as I see it here. That it's really, I mean, it's probably, as you said, that you had radio channel playing for it. You had a lot of people listening to it. There, it was just, even back now today, it's just taking off now, yeah. But back in the days, we were just like, like almost like UFOs, like people just didn't get it, yeah. And that was it, yeah. I think the moment that it took off, it was when we brought that to outside of our country, yeah.
When you say outside, you mean outside of Chile?
Chile,
or?
of Chile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when you went to
when I moved to Europe, this is where my, let's say, the music that I was doing, the records that I was trying to put out, yeah, they just took out, yeah.
Yeah, and you say you started Cadenza as part of just a kind of a fun, and it related to what you were doing with your sister, who was doing the graphic design. But did you also sort of start the label because you needed to? You needed to get the release the music in some way, and that was the way to do it.
Well, this became a little bit later. It became let's say the philosophy that I had behind the label. It was just I could make my life. I made it through music. So music was always something that helped me to go through life. And the philosophy I always had behind, I wanted to bring back to the music what music brought me, which means like I had the opportunity as a young artist to be released by big artists as Derek May and things like this. And I wanted to then Cadenza. I wanted to transform the platform into a place that I could basically sign younger artists or people that I believed that they were great artists, and I would definitely sign the record and put them out to bring back to the music industry something that like a point of view that we were having and that we believe strongly in. Yeah, it was back. I would say it was back on that time that this sound wasn't that big as it got today. Yeah, so. It was more the philosophy behind the label, and we always wanted to keep it that way, and to bring younger artists to the light. Yeah, that's the whole idea behind.
And when you started it, I mean, things have changed so much. I'm sure when you started the label, you were presumably releasing stuff on vinyl to be sold in a physical format.
Because back on that time the digital was existing already, but it was not a major discussion as it is today. So back in that time, the vinyl was the main format of what is a DJ. Yeah, so that's why we keep on we put vinyl out because I think it's a beautiful piece of art, and it's a beautiful let's say format for putting out this music. There's no better recording than on a vinyl than it would be anything on digital. But at the same time, time change, time evolves, and I went from vinyl to the digital also, but because of more practical reason. I remember also, it's like when you play a lot and you go around and things like this. It's not like when you have a guitar. If you're a singer and your guitar doesn't show up in a country where you go to visit, you can always get a guitar from somewhere else. But if you go into a place and your records doesn't show up, then you don't know what to do. I mean, they can borrow you records that they are not yours, but you end up playing whatever it is. It could be trance, it could be techno, and this is not you. Yeah, so it's like. Then it became the practical side of changing, of evolving, of the digital thing, the access, the quicker thing. Also a record. You used to, when you got the promo of a nice record, you were really excited because you were the only one getting it. Yeah? And that was something that was all the other ones, they were looking at you. Oh shit, this guy has this nice record, and I have to wait like a couple of months more to get it. And he was making something special out of it. Now it's like it just went from. It's like it's like basically one day you produce something, the next day can be out and everybody can get it. So it just changed the whole form of seeing music and approaching music. But I guess that's the way it is today, and you can't go against that. You have to go with it and try to make the best thing you can with it. Yeah.
We can chat a little bit more about the label thing in a bit, but you said that you went from when you started the label up to now, and it's grown. I mean, what was there points over the last sort of decade, the 2000s, where what you were doing really you felt like it took off, like there was something that happened and that you got a really big audience?
I think it's like there's one thing is like having the label, which is like basically is more related to the producer side. Yeah, what you have to really understand is like, for example, as you said, like selling 100,000 records was back in the days, but those days this is not the numbers. I mean, what we do is far from this, yeah, because it's like the digital took over, the sharing things took over, and whatever it is. But it's like what you have to understand also is like to make a living out of it is not making out of a record. The record label is something that you do because of passion, because you are passionate about music, you're passionate about producing, you're passionate about sound. But let's say the real fact of what we do every day is out of the concerts. This is where people makes a career. This is where people takes off. I mean, you can make a good record, but you have to go and play it out. You have to go and play it out. You have to go and make representation as much as you can, from a small bar here in your town to the discotheque that's in the corner, to the next country, to whatever you are able to go and show who you are and what is your sound. This is what takes off. I don't think it's those days, not like you will take off with a record. You also have to go and show the world what you do also, yeah. And that's extremely important, I think.
And how did you do that? You just played all over Europe and
Well, basically it's like the idea is like they would get me in a booking in the bar in the corner. I would go play in the bar in the corner, but on that gig, I was making sure that I was convincing the 10 people that they were there that the shit I was playing was okay, and they wanted to book me again. And then you do this work again, and then the next bar wants to book you again, and you go to the next bar, you do the same thing, and you're doing over years, and that's the way it happens. There's no trick, It's like
it just sort of grows and grows.
It grows and grows, and you have to you create your small network. You start with the local thing, then you start with this is the way I started, changing by city from city, then maybe having the chance to go outside of the country for the first time, then you go outside and you build slowly a network of people, but always you have to work hard and make sure that, of course, people wants to hear you again. If you're killing the floor and everybody leaves, it's like, of course, like it's very hard. And I think today, that's the way an artist can survive. It's very hard to survive as a producer today because the music market has changed so much. So you create a professional living out of it, out of what you go and when you go outside. Yeah.
So traveling and touring is actually very important to create that for yourself somehow.
I think it's extremely important. Yes.
Vinny, you yourself, you've obviously you started here in South Africa and you've been performing here in South Africa, but at some stage you also started touring around Africa and the world, am I right?
Yes, and that came up, I think, in the year 2001. And obviously it came up from that record that sold a lot of copies. So people bought it, and then you start getting more bookings than usual, And you're right in saying that you gotta go out there and promote your record, And for me, I think my first trip outside of South Africa was when I went to the UK, 2001. And because one promoter who was in South Africa bought the record, went back to the UK. And then a couple of months later, he was calling, saying, guys, I want you to come over and perform. So, yeah. So you're right in saying that. And, I always like to tell the young DJs out there, because they tend to say that you book them to come to play at a venue, and then there's 10 people, they're like, no, I can't play here. And he's still up and coming, he's still new. He'll tell you, no, I can't play here because there's 10 people. you never know who the 10 people are. I mean, a big promoter might be one of the 10, and then you say you don't want to play. So you're right. I mean, if you play into 10 people, play like you're playing to 1,000 people. The same thing, you know.
Yeah. And we were talking a bit about technology. You said, obviously, both of you, when you started, you were playing vinyl, but you moved on down the line. Well, starting with you, Vinny, do you still play vinyl?
Not as much as I want to, because I mean, vinyl will always remain king. I don't care who says what. Vinyl will always remain king. Unfortunately, you gotta move with the times. You know, I played on vinyl for a long time before I changed to playing on CDs, and I'm still on CDs today. And I'm not saying I'm not gonna change into Tractor or Serato or whatever. I might do it, but not now. But because I was still preferring to play on vinyl, because you're right in saying that the sound on vinyl, you can't get it anywhere, man. It's so special. It's special. That analog sound, you can't get away from it. So I think in a year, I mean, over the past 2-3 years, I've probably played 4 times of vinyl. And right now, because my vinyl is in storage, so anybody who books me and say they want me to play on vinyl, oh man, they need to convince me big time, man. Because I mean, to go to a storage and say you want to open, take out your vinyl, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's not easy. Like now, I can just take my slapper with CDs and just go, or take your USB, whatever. Yeah. So, but yeah, we still, I still want to see more parties or more events where a lot of guys are playing off vinyl. And I see recently everywhere in the country there's like small pockets of people doing the vinyl sessions, and I'd like to see that continue, you know.
But the thing is, I mean, Sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I totally agree with that. It's like the vinyl is something ultra special, and it's something that should be kept alive, and it's something it brings a certain different way also of playing, different way of approaching music, and it has magic in it, yeah, for sure.
But the thing is, a lot of guys now are making tracks, and they're really good tracks, and I mean, they just, in order to go to a club and play the track, they're going to need to play it off CD. You know, if it's a vinyl-only party, or then they just can't do that.
The thing is that the vinyl, it's a lot more costs also to put just a vinyl to go and play it in the club. You know, you have to master it, you have to make the cutting, you have to make the... It's much more cost to put just a vinyl just to go and try it out, yeah. With just something you do at the studio is very easy. You just finish, you put the USB stick, you go to the club and you play it. And that's what makes it also special. I mean, I think I'm always very excited when I'm working in the studio and I just finish something, I just put it on a USB stick, go and play it, and here in the club, I think it's also very special, yeah. And it just, you know, it's just time I'm moving forward, and you have to try to keep the good of the past and the good of the future also, and make something together.
But and you've doing something quite special now with you're doing this sort of. Do you mind actually if we go and take a look at what you're doing?
No problem. Well, I can explain it first. It's like
yes.
I completely. Let's say back in the day, when I was still playing a lot of records, I was always like playing I had my 2 decks, and always I had like 2 CD player on the side, and I always used to produce on the studio like strings or vocals or some little effects, like whatever I had like on the side, and I was just adding on top of the record. I was adding little elements that I could, you know, make it on top of it. That was making a little bit more fun. And that's when the whole idea about like, I really enjoy that because I can edit in real time. I was starting to edit the like new things. Then it just appeared. They had a loop machine also that just appeared from Rebirth, which was like something basically you could just play some records and you would just loop in 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars, and you could just, you know, go take the record out, put it back, and it was starting to edit in real time things with the violin. And it was more, you were not DJing anymore, you were creating in real time music. It was not music like producing in a studio, but you were starting to create. So then the whole tractor things appeared, and I used it as a normal setup with just a vinyl controller. I was playing vinyl, but from the computer, the files from the computer. And then everything moved on to this 4 decks, where you basically have 4 sources, where you have A, B, C, D, where you can load basically 4 tracks. So then I was like, okay, it's like this is incredible, because I can basically, it's halfway through DJing and halfway through producing. So it's a half live and DJing. So I just left the record syncing, went straight away to the internal syncing, which is basically you just sync, the computer syncs it for yourself. And instead of focusing into the singing thing, I was focusing more into the composition between these 4 tracks. Yes. So that's where I just completely switched to something else. But it was in between, let's say, my producer side and my DJ side. Yeah.
And you're still doing that today?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I do that today mainly when I'm playing alone. When I'm playing with friends, I'm always, of course, still using the record. And also something very important is like I'm always saying, especially to the people whoever wants to start or whoever is interested about that, this is not something you should start with. I mean, a DJ should start. He has to know how to sync to record. If you don't have a sense of rhythm, don't get into that, because that's not DJing. I mean, you must have a sense of how to know how to sing 2 records together, understand the dynamics between the A and B, and then you can move forward to that. But I think it's not good to start with the setup.
Sure, I was actually going to ask, out of interest, if you've been doing, like, say you play in a track, or let's say you use Ableton or something, but you started DJing and you've DJed for a long time, you know how to mix and beat match.
Yes, of course.
Is it like riding a bicycle when you go back, or are you a bit shaky?
It's like riding a bicycle. You don't forget
remember
that.
You remember it immediately.
You don't forget that. No. And you hear that. You know, still sometimes you have like more complex rhythms that I use on like tracks that they are a little bit more complex than the 4 to the floor and thing like this. But I hear it in like straight away when there's not even a million of second that is delayed, and you correct it also. But you have it's something that you must be trained to that. To train that you must DJing the normal way, A to B, with the 2 CD players or 2 vinyls or whatever it is. Yeah,
that's interesting. Can we take a look at your setup? Let's have a look.
If you want to listen to these conversations live and have access to this incredible community, you can join us at our physical campus, the Bridges Academy in Langa, South Africa. A revolutionary learning space where you will find courses on music, entrepreneurship, film, DJing, and much more. For more information on how to apply, visit bridgesacademy.org.
Hello.
Okay. We're just taking 1 minute so we can set up the camera so you guys can have a look here. Yeah, it's getting chilly. Do you bring a jacket?
So the idea also is
Can you all see everybody? Yeah, sweet.
Yep.
Cool.
So the basic idea is that you have, the mixer, you have 4 channels, this 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically I split it this, I don't know if you can see the screen of here, but you have A, B, C, D. So it's also 4 sources that I split into these 4 channels. The idea, of course, is like you create playlists. So you have a lot of there's a lot of music into the thing. You create playlists. For example, I have a playlist that is called loops. I have a playlist that is called vocals. I have playlist that is called tools, and everything is like there are splitted files with different elements. So, for example, let's go back to here. Okay. So, for example, in the source A, I'm gonna put like air. I've called it air, which is air basically. Then I have some bongos, for example. Then I have some hi-hats, and then I have a kick drum or track. So then basically the idea is just to turn then this whole thing on. If you want to start. Okay. So in source A, I have this. Wait. Here it is. This. Then I have this. And then I have this. So in the A, I might have this. So this is only the air idea. This is the first source, which is basically just a sound. Then in the B, I will have my percussion, which is just a percussive track. Then I have on the C side is only hi-hats. Yeah. And on the first one is a kick drum, normal kick drum. So what I do is simply I have all my sources. And I just you start composing on top of it. You can add some air, you can take out the shakers, you can put them. So that's the whole idea. Okay, see, I leave this for later, but that's the whole idea.
Yeah, so it's you basically sequencing live.
Yeah, basically what I'm doing constantly is sequencing things in real time, and you can easily change to vocals, to whatever sounds you have, like a cappellas and things like this. And then an important thing also is I switch it to there's an audio card also who is able basically inside of the program to switch the 4 channels into a good conversion into the mixer to try to keep a good quality. That's it.
And then also obviously effects and things as
well.
Yeah,
then it's all about feeling.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Nice little tease of what's going to happen later on. Eh? Yeah. Let's go back to the couch. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to open it up for questions now. The party starts in 15 minutes, so we'll only take about 4 questions or so, see how it goes. But yeah, if any of you have any burning questions, here's the mic.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. It's awesome to have some insight from various parts of the world and various outlets of musical styles and so on. What I'd love to know is, you've both been involved in record labels. I understand, Vinny, you were involved with House Africa and that whole setup, right?
Yeah, I'm still involved.
Okay. I'd love to know how much the record label has influenced, or not influenced, but how much the record label has to do with how your career moves forward, and how does the record label fund anything else financially to do with you progressing through the musical world?
From my side, from House Africa was first a record store. We were selling vinyl from there, and I think that helped with my vast collection of music first, and then after that, when the vinyl faded away, it became a record label. And to answer your question, we as South Africa has we've got a joint venture with a major record label like Sony Music. So, to a sense, yes, you can fund your project through an independent label. You can. House Africa could, but we decided, here's a major knocking on our door. Let's rather use their resources instead of ours, because Sony Music is huge, so they can do more than we can do as an independent label. But I'd advise anybody who wants to get into any label, if you have the resources to do it yourself, do it yourself. It's much better, much easier. You don't have to account to anyone. It's your baby. So yeah, but at the time we couldn't, so that's why we went with a major, I don't know from your side, what do you think?
On my side is like basically the label. What we generated to the label was a community of people that that identified to a sound and identified to an identity basically. And yes, it helped. I think everyone's career, not only mine, but also Reboot, Mirko, Andrea, all the guys that I have behind on the team, it helped everyone to be under this, let's say, aura of what is Cadenza, yeah? But I would say on the business side, we always kept it independently. We never went for something with the major, even if they approach, but not because we didn't thought that we could use the resources, but more because I think we were more afraid, because you know, we've heard many stories. There's many things also from different people that always advises us like, hey guys, watch, you know, because it's like, as you said, it's like, it's your baby. And when you step into something that it's such a big business where they have much more knowledge than actually we have, it was better for us to stay under this thing. And just understand also that Cadenza, even if we are a big label of the underground music we are today, we don't make money out of this. We just make every month enough money to pay everybody, that everybody can live out of this, and this is enough. This is more than enough for us. We live the dream somehow, and we do this because of passion. This is 100%. There's no business behind, and it's 100% passion. If you do it independently, if I would set the catalog, if I would go, yes, maybe it would be a business, but I think this is not the idea behind all that, yeah.
Two. One, two, hi. Want to say thank you for having two legends in their own right in front of us. Thank you to everybody for organizing this and making sure that we have this opportunity to actually speak to you guys. I want to say thank you very much for that. My question is very simple. I want to talk about trust. From trusting what you play, when you're ready to play it, and actually trusting on a long-term scale in terms of what Cadenza has done in Ibiza, from DC-10 to the move to Pacha and the successes in those respective rights, and the hard yards that House Africa has run for making sure that there's credibility in terms of the recognition we get as people creating on this continent. I want to understand, and I want you to share with some of those who are here, how much, you know, personally to you, Luciano, and to you, Vinny, does trust play a role?
I think it's like, you know, it's like it's excellent questions, but it's like the trust thing is like something that, of course, first of all, is like stay truth to who you are, stay truth to what makes you getting up every morning, to watch your face in the mirror and say like, hey, good, I'm a good man, I'm trying my best to do what I can, and sometimes, you know, success is something that it's very hard to handle, because, you know, taking off, it's somehow it's easier than to stay, let's say, on the line for a long time, because of course, like at the beginning when you start, it's just a group of friends, and everything is so fresh and so easy because you're a group of people that have the same ideal, and you go on and you walk. But as you walk around and as things are growing up, and you go out from a small club to playing in a big club of 10,000 people, the responsibility is different, because suddenly you have more friends, but you have more enemies also, and to please everybody is something very difficult. That I think I work personally myself every day, trying to do the best I can and to stay the truth as I can with what I do, but it's very difficult. But the most important is, you know, I know my followers. I always try to please them. I'm thankful every day, because if I can get to where I am today, it's thanks to all the people that come also and support this, and family, friends, the whole thing that I have from the very beginning. And I think this is where your soul and trust, everything starts from here. And if you're loyal to that, I think you're loyal in whatever you take. Yeah.
Yeah, Luchi is right. I think because we've got so much passion in this game, that should come first. You know, if you've got a passion for this game, amen, things will happen for you. I guarantee you. Don't just do it because of the fame, because everybody gets into this game because they want to be famous. Forget it. And I mean, because we've got so much passion for it, it's more like a 9 to 5. For me, it's like every morning I wake up and I got to do something, or whether it's a gig or I'm doing admin for South Africa or whatever. It's a job for me. That's how I treat it. And if you treat it good, it will definitely treat you well. Yeah.
Oh. Hi, Luciano and Vinny.
Six.
Thank you very much. I think I would like to talk on behalf of the vocalists, How do I make sure that if I recorded music and it's in a DJ's compilation, that if the songs become popular, I'm popular with the song as well as a vocalist. Because what happens is that DJ, they take all the glory, whereas I'm the one who sat down writing the lyrics, sang onto that particular song, and people at the parties, they are singing to my lyrics, but they don't know me, they know the DJ. So how do I become part of the song, part of the success? Thank you.
Yeah, that's Zakes Bantuini, guys, popular vocalist. So, I mean, Zakes, I think maybe just to put it into perspective, the DJs that come and license your record, however popular it is, I mean, are they speaking to you or are they speaking to the label? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Vinny comes to license Shake Your Bum Bum,
Yeah.
Is Vinny talking to Zakes or is Vinny talking to the label?
I think you are quite far from where I am, Vinny.
No, I understand. I'm getting to that.
I'm the guy.
Yes.
I'm the guy who happens to be in the studio, who finds himself making songs, and I'm called by Vinny to make a song, and I get there, I write a song, I sing, it becomes popular, but Vinny enjoys the success on his own,
yes,
and I'm not part of that. So as a vocalist, how do I make sure that in as much as Vinny now is getting gigs and making money, I also get that as well?
No, I see that happening quite a lot these days. I've seen it, yes. Where Vinny goes to Zakes and says, Zakes, let's do a song together.
Yeah.
But Vinny takes the glory.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't allow that in the first place. Because that song is popular because it's Zakes singing on there, not Vinny. Vinny is just the DJ, he's just the face of the city, right? That song is not Vinny's song, but because I think that a lot of the problem that the producers and the vocalists are doing is that they get into an agreement where I'm like, Zakes, let's write a song together. And I'm not doing anything. You are doing everything from start to finish, and you put it out under my name, featuring Zakes. And I see that happening quite a lot all over. I mean, everybody's doing it. And I mean, I've been approached by so many people as we speak now. People approaching me, Vinny, can we do a song together? It's Vinny featuring so-and-so. And I tell them straight up, I said, brother, that's not my song, that's your song. Why don't you release that on your own? Not with my name. I'd rather say, let me license it from you as a Zakes song, not Vinny featuring Zakes, because that's not my song.
So
you should say no to that. You should say no. You don't allow that because that's pure fraud, man.
So in a nutshell, Vinny, as an artist or as a vocalist, if a DJ wants to take my song and says DJ featuring who, I must not allow that.
Don't allow it.
It must be my song as just a song in his album.
As a Zakes song on Vinny's album. That's it.
Thank you, Vinny.
Just one more word. I think there's There's also Zeke, there's a responsibility also, and of the responsibility also is with the label you're signing with, that also have to make sure that also, because whatever you've participated in, and the song is as much as it is from the person who have produced it, as much as heart and as much as all the things that you've put it in, it belongs to you also. So I think there's a part of responsibility also from the record label when you're signing with someone, that has to be made clear from the very beginning. And I think everybody knows this in this industry. So if they don't play that game, it's because they just playing dirty, and you have to just make sure that you make it notice. And another thing also is that sometimes it's like, especially for a vocalist, that is more difficult. Is like we don't have to forget that like most of the music, for example, DJ we do is dance music, and if for example when the songs got big, I think exactly as the way he said, the way it is put it on the record is going to be Zake's record, and it's going to be like this is the song that's going to become popular. But in the way of, like, for example, if someone wants because that song got big, and if you did for example the song with a DJ or a producer, let's say a promoter wants to book you, the promoter will always book a DJ with the things, because for him it's so easier, and it makes it more complicated, which I think it's not fair. I totally agree with that, yeah. But the reality is sometimes that, I know it sounds hard, but it is like this sometimes today. So yeah, sorry.
It's my last question. I think these are the questions. Obviously, some of us has been lucky in terms of coming with a very strategic way in terms of being able to do that. But why I'm asking these questions, these are the questions in which I always say people who still wants to make it should be asking us or asking people who are there, because we get a lot of times people want to be part of the success, but they never know how. So I'm gonna come up with my second ignorant question as well. Which is the last one. which is the last one. I don't belong in a record company. I don't belong in a record company. Obviously, people are not interested in me. And I'm trying to make my way into the industry. And the only person I know who can be able to do that for me is Vinny Da Vinci, whom I know lives in the wherever at the corner, and he happens to be a DJ. So now I have this particular song. I want to give it to him because I want to be popular. It's my way of making it to the industry. And then Vinny says to me, this is going to be my song featuring you. Because I want to make it to the industry, I'm going to say yes.
I get it. I mean, a lot of the guys out there are hungry.
Exactly.
Yes. I mean, once you're hungry, yes.
Yeah. So how can you advise me, as much as I'm desperate to make it into the industry, and Vinny Da Vinci, is the only person I know, is playing dirty? In that particular, what do I do as an artist who wants to make it?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, because Zakes is hungry, he wants to get into the game. And, it's I think it should start with me to play a clean game with you in the first place. But I know that it doesn't happen like that. I know Zakes gonna say, hey, bruh, man, No, you're right. A lot of the DJs are not clean. But it has to start with us. I mean, I gotta play clean with you, and tell you that, Zakes, it doesn't work like that. It should happen like 1, 2, not 3, 4, because that's how all this game is gonna get dirty. It's gonna get dirtier and dirtier. I mean, we had a conversation earlier on where you're saying people need to stand up and take care of this industry because it's gonna disappear. And once it disappears, what happens to us? You know what I mean? So, so I think it's got to start with you, because we said we've got a passion for this game. We love it so much. We don't want it to disappear. Let's all play clean and be clear with everybody. I mean, when you're speaking to any youngster who's hungry out there, advise him as a bigger, if you think, if because you're older and you've been in the game for too long, advise him on how to go about it. I know, Zexy, you're trying to educate them, and I get it. I'm with you, but it's got to start with us. You know what I mean?
Zex, I just want to let you know that you're a brilliant singer.
Guys. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you guys here. Let's do this. Let's do this party, man. Thank you so much. Thank you to Bridges for Music for having you guys out here. Thank you all for coming through. Stick around.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast as much as we do making them. Remember, if you'd like to attend any of these workshops live, enroll in any of our upcoming programs. To support the work we do, you can find more information on bridgesformusic.org. Please don't forget to subscribe, as we'll be bringing new inspiring conversations soon.